Hey, everybody. It's great to have you out there today. And we are doing a special podcast today. So you get the honor of having myself and Lynn Whitesell. We are managing partners of Harris Whitesell Consulting. And today we are excited because we're going to be talking about our coaching services that we offer. And we're going to be talking a lot about what is it, what do you do with it, what it's not, and some of the highlights around why it's important and what it can do for you as a leader out there in the world of business. So welcome, Lynn.
Thank you, Lori. Looking forward to this discussion, something we are quite passionate about, to coin a word.
Yeah, we really, coaching is a lot of fun for us. I believe, I just got some feedback this morning from one of our clients. It was a lot of fun. Coaching's a lot of fun, and it's hard work, right?
If you're doing it right, it's both of those things.
Right. One thing about something that's unique, I believe, with Lynn and I that correlates to our coaching services, and we feel very strongly about this, and we care greatly and deeply about our clients' results from their coaching, and we care about that experience they have. We care deeply about their return on investment. We also highly recognize that not one size fits all, and so we customize our coaching services to our clients' needs. And that's because you as an individual are unique into its own, and your work you do, the working environment you're in, all of that is unique, because where you work is not the same as where I work, or where Joe Smith works, or Beyonce works. So it's very, very different. And that uniqueness gives us that ability to really understand. We'll spend some time with you guys understanding up front what it is your needs are, and customizing an approach that will work to help achieve the results that you're seeking. So Lynn, let's dive in. And what about coaching currently, especially in today's work environment, is critical?
Well, I think, Lori, the first thing that's critical is making sure you find the right coaching program for you and the right coach for you. And a part of that is knowing what kinds of questions you would ask. How do you find that? And so we can talk first about finding the right coach, or maybe explore the different types of coaching that you might be looking for.
Ooh, better yet, let's first talk about how do they know they need a coach?
How do you know you need a coach?
Yeah, let's talk about that first.
Let's do. Do you feel like you are optimizing yourself? Do you feel like you're reaching your maximum potential? Do you have any idea what your strengths truly are, or your weaknesses? And I could ask you if you know what your blind spots are, but the answer to that is automatically no by definition. Do you think, or could there be potential derailers out there that you're not aware of? Are you looking to achieve something that you haven't yet achieved? And you know that working with someone else who can help you be insightful and introspective and really understand yourself better to help you find that within you. Those are some of the things that would make you go, maybe a coach is what I need.
I would also add things like, are you seeking to enhance, improve, develop your team building skills and competencies? What about just those productive relationships as well? How might you improve that relationship building, which impacts your networking, which impacts getting results collectively, which impacts productivity and your engagement as well? And what about, Lynn, just basic self-awareness and self-mastery of those skills and competencies that make you a better leader, right, and make you a better employee?
Right. And also maybe you're a business owner and you're wondering, do I need coach? I need a coach. Perhaps you do. You might need a business coach, someone to help you look at what are your true values of your company? What culture do you want to foster and how you get work done, which will help you decide what types of employees do I want to hire to do that. Help you set your strategy and align your talent strategy to your business strategy, and what are the goals that you have, and what are the action steps. So if having someone to help you work through all of that, you might want to look for a business coach.
Yeah, we're kind of leading into the types of coaches and executive coaching, leadership coaching, team coaching, career coaching, business coaching. Those are the services we offer. We do not offer life coaching. We're not life coaches. And we are absolutely accredited and certified in all of these types of coaching programs that I did mention. And Lynn, let's talk specifically about executive coaching and the importance of it at that level.
So executive coaching is for those folks who are either executives already or aspiring to executive positions. And in executive coaching, we work with leaders and emerging leaders that are focused on their personal development, their own leadership skills, and understanding the difference in being, say, let's say, a director and being an executive, and what are the executive competencies and where do I fit, and what are my strengths and what are my development areas. Working on those interpersonal skills that you mentioned and those leadership skills that are required, not just for myself, because as an executive leader, I have responsibility for many and at least a department, or if not a whole company. So how can I improve my skill set for the better health of my organization and my people and organizational health?
Yeah, diving into things like executive presence, executive function, not just personality, not just all of those important things that we do assess and we are able to pull from various types of assessments. What I love about assessing executives, and we do quite a few assessments with executives, what I love about that is not only is it a self-discovery, it is also a self-enhancing process, and it's also that self-mastery process that gives them the ability to take those strengths, those motivators, those skills, competencies, and identify strategic pathways for them to be able to apply them and to practice them and to observe them and measure them and really see the trends that really optimize those best practices that they have for their work environment. Mm-hmm. And it's very powerful. And the last thing I'm going to say about executive coaching is it takes time to realize the results that you are seeking. It's not something that happens overnight. And the assessment data and the tools that we use are not once then done. There's something that are continuous, and it puts you in that constant state of responsiveness and responsibility and that continuous learning piece that executives really truly need for the success that they're seeking.
Habits, behavioral habits, the leadership habits we've fallen into takes a assessment and self-reflection to identify those that are serving us well and those that are not. And then it takes an even greater amount of time to determine how am I going to change that behavioral habit? What are the actions I'm going to take? And then that actual practice and self-reflection that we do, because we know that we are humans and we do not let go of old habits easily, even when we know they are not serving us well. And thus coaching is a longer term thing that we do for ourselves, our teams, and our organizations. And Lori, we'd be remiss if we're talking about executive coaching and we didn't talk about the not so recent past, where executive coaching was reserved for those executives who were having issues, who were having problems that the company wanted to fix through executive coaching. And now the contemporary, what we do in executive coaching, it is for people that we want to invest in as a company, people we want to optimize and maximize and bring to their utmost skill set behaviorally and leadership wise and for our businesses and for their teams. So it's a polar opposite. It's a 180 from when I first started executive coaching, which was, I guess, going on 20 years ago, where it was very much the company did that to fix you. And now it's, wow, the company has picked me for this and is investing in me. So if you are with a company that chooses to enter you into executive coaching, what a wonderful thing. A lot of our clients come to us that way. We also have those clients, you might want to talk about them, who are self-pay. They're coming for their own selves with their own financial means and seeking executive coaching.
And I think too, one more thing to note about executive coaching is the beauty of this is over time, we see the coherence, the alignment, and it's not just with self and the goals that you're seeking to achieve as yourself. It is absolutely the alignment and being able to optimize the talent and the alignment and being able to execute the strategy and the alignment for those collective results and that coherence, the connectiveness and the alignment to the company's value proposition and the strategy and the capabilities, as well as the company philosophy, that vision that the organization has and the mission in which it does every day, and those wonderful core values that lie at the foundation of what we expect behavior to be in the workplace when no one's looking. And in this executive coaching process and through this learning ability, they are better aligned. There's more coherence, and they can represent the company in that presence, and they give others throughout the organization and externally. Think about all the vendors and suppliers and distributors, et cetera, that partner with the organization. It truly does create competitive advantage, and it creates that alliance forth in order to achieve. And what better opportunity to create that kind of culture and that kind of opportunity for people. Yeah.
And I think with any coaching, not just executive coaching, it's really about learning how to think differently and how to broaden your perspective, how to perform better and build better relationships and listen better, and all those emotional intelligence type of things are important for success at any level. Let's say you're not yet a leader, you're an emerging leader. What is the difference between being a team member and being a leader? And how do I make that leap? And what are the potential pitfalls that I'm probably going to face? And so if those are your challenges, you may be looking for a leadership coach that will help you with what are the leadership behaviors that we're looking for that are different, perhaps, than the behaviors that I had as a team member. And what kind of radical responsibility do I have now? And how do I be a conscious leader? And we could talk a lot about what that means. But so what does it mean? And maybe you're a leader looking to be promoted in leadership. Well, what's the difference in being a frontline manager and being a director? And what's the difference in being a director and that executive role that maybe I aspire to? So a coach can really help you work through all of those and find where you are. Where are you currently? Where are you doing very well? And where are areas that you need to look at and take action behind to do something differently?
Yeah, I agree. And I think there is significant difference between executive and leaders and managers. And I do believe in supervisors, et cetera, right? And those job titles are one thing, but when we think about the roles and responsibilities and looking to identify a functional organization, a constructive organization, and one in which that is high achieving, and one in which that's high engaging, and one that's high productivity, Those are the things that bring joy every day to people and make people want to go and do their jobs. And by the way, have a little bit of joy and fun in the process of doing that. So let's talk about the differences in these different levels of leadership and role, because leadership coaching truly is different than executive coaching.
It really is. A supervisor, let's say you're a frontline supervisor, what you're really responsible for is making sure people are on task. You're usually a working supervisor. You're performing the task as well, but you're making assignments, you're following up on work, you're making sure people are showing up and putting forth their best effort. So you're really connected to the tactical components of leadership. And then you move into a manager role. And in a manager role, you may or may not have a supervisor or two reporting to you. So you could be expanding what you're looking for in leadership. You may also be more closely tied to strategy and acting that strategy. Whereas now you're going to make the leap to director, which is completely different. You're straddling the line now between tactics and strategy when you're a director. And it can be difficult to navigate. Where do I fit? Where am I? My job is to make sure the company's strategy that I'm, so familiar with, now I am enabling that through tactics and not just being totally tactical. And that we can tell you right now, that's where most of the first-time directors fail, is they're so buried in tactics that they can't reach up and to get more into strategy. And then we reach the executive levels. And of course, now we're responsible for vision, and we're responsible for coming up with the strategy of the company and what we're going to accomplish, and then relaying that to everyone else in the company. And whereas the supervisor is responsible, maybe has some input into what strategy is going to be, but really enabling the strategy and really making sure that it's happening. And of course, that executive is leading the entire organization. I guess the old expression, that's why they make the big bucks. I don't know, but the responsibility is tremendous with an executive. Lori, we know the failure between leadership and then executive, and especially senior level executives, is again being lost in the tactics of having the strategy happen and not rising up to that topmost level of leading a company and being brought across. So many, let's say C-suite or top executives, come up through a silo of the company. Maybe they come through finance, or they come through HR, or they come through an operations group, and they rose by becoming really an expert in that silo. Well, as an executive now, I have to broaden, and I have to hire the experts and lead across the company, not just in a silo. And that can be a tremendous difference for leaders who are now executives.
And let's also pull in that entrepreneur, because and this is why often entrepreneurs are the executive, and within the executive role, there's a minimum of 15 functions. You've got sustainability, continuity, succession, you've got talent management, you've got customer focus, you've got brand reputation, you've got mission and strategy, on and on. I could keep going, finance, etc., operational efficiency. There are so many functions at that executive level that a senior leader or even a departmental leader, get down to the manager or supervisory level, they only have a small piece of that. Whereas at that executive level, it is very comprehensive and wholesome in their approach. So experience and having opportunities to be able to, at those lower levels, engage in projects that give them the chance to develop those types of skills and engage in those types of experiences really do matter. And in our coaching, we come across this all the time, where many times at the leadership level, they've been given the responsibility of C-suite roles or even higher level senior leadership roles, and they have no idea.
No idea.
They just never understood it because they've never been given a chance to even experience it, build their skill sets, their competencies, etc. So this happens a lot. Or we have an entrepreneur who really does have an incredible product in their hand or an incredible service that's innovative and creative, and they've brought it to market, but they have no experience in leading an organization, let alone leading others or leading themselves.
Absolutely. Because think about it, Lori, a lot of times we promote people within organizations, or we promote ourselves because we leave the corporate world and become entrepreneurs. And it's, you're such a great whatever, attorney, that now you are the executive head of attorneys. Now go do a fine job of it. Well, I'm sorry, but probably in law school, I didn't learn how to be a leader, or in finance school, I didn't learn how to be a leader. And now my role is to be a leader, not to be an accountant. My role is to be a leader, not to be an attorney or a scientist or whatever it may be. And yes, so what can a coach do for you? Help you understand what the role of leader, whatever level it is that you're at, what that role of leader is. And let's say now you have responsibility for teams. So what's team coaching, and what's the difference, between team coaching and others? Now, mind you, and then team coaching can be a component of leadership coaching or executive coaching, because they're certainly responsible for teams. But do we want to explore team coaching as a standalone?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's important to deviate and to really dig in, because with team coaching, it's about building the foundational trust. Mm-hmm. And we often assume there's going to be trust. We often expect that there's going to be trust. And trust is not earned. Trust is given, because I'm responsible for being trustworthy. And when I put myself out there being trustworthy, I'm offering trust. And when there's not trust, I'm responsible as a leader to take action and help encourage others to open up about that trust. So it's not something that is earned. It is something that is worked on. It is something that's committed to, and and we're responsible around. And I even leave out the word accountability, because I think accountability comes back to that self-mastery piece. And I'm going to say, as a leader, when we're wanting trust in the organization, we have to be responsible to ensure it and help it and really foster and nurture it in the organization at that level.
And to know what it is, right, Lori? Because how many clients do we work with and are working with right now who make the assumption that there's trust in the organization? And when we assess it, because we do assess before we prescribe, I realize that it's not there, and they're shocked. They're absolutely shocked. Yeah. What do you mean there's not a fundamental trust here? And
the look on their face too.
And like, and the disappointment.
Wait, let's go back to that data point. Let's look at that data point. Are you really? That's shocking. And they're just so surprised. Right. Yeah. And I think it also builds into that communication intelligence and that conflict, and having productive conflict and that communication intelligence. And because we're taking a more conscious approach and more cognitive approach to our leadership, the ball game changes, because we are mirroring, we are demonstrating and exhibiting behaviors in a much different way that offer those who follow. By the way, you can't be a leader without having followers. It offers that ability to really create the influence and the impact and the results, and get the results you're seeking. And so working through conflict versus reacting to it.
And how often do we hear, we want to avoid conflict. Conflict equals bad. They hit big honk. Without conflict, there's never innovation. Without conflict, nothing ever improves, much less innovates. Without conflict, things remain the same. And if things remain the same, the world is progressing around you, and so you become outdated. It is the definition of what conflict is, and conflict being a healthy debate where, as you were just talking about, the trust is there. So people feel that they can enter into healthy conflict, offer an opposing view, and not and do that in a safe environment, that psychological safety that we talked so much about today. Because conflict equals good.
Yes.
It's the behavior we use in entering into conflict And it's the trust level that we have set, leader, as a foundation for being able to enter into the healthy conflict, because we want people to commit to what we're doing. Yeah.
Right. And I also believe, we say on our website, it allows and enables them to embrace accountability to be responsible. Mm-hmm. So this is where accountability does come into that individual team member's role, in that because I am self-accountable, I am able to be responsible. And because of that, you get those collective results. Mm-hmm. Each and every one is committed to these things. There's almost this, as a conscious leader and as a team leader as well, you've got dynamics going on, and within the dynamics of the team, there's got to be a team agreement that we're going to behave this way because it gets these results, and we need these results because it is aligned to the scope of work and the productivity we need. And by the way, it's going to help us streamline the execution of this strategy. And most importantly, because people are the number one asset of an organization, most importantly, it optimizes each and every one of us, and collectively, the group of us, so that we can all be encouraging and achieving and affiliative and all those beautiful things that go on in organizations. By the way, people, this is achievable. It's not this big fluffy dream that's out there. It's hard work because it involves humanity in the workplace, which means that it's about behavior in the workplace. Mm-hmm. And it's not about bad behavior, good behavior. It's about optimizing the strengths within the personalities, within the styles of communication, within the styles of emotional intelligence. It's not that I've got more emotional intelligence than Lynn. It's that the strengths I bring to the table and the strengths she brings to the table truly are collectively even more powerful than I was alone.
The power of a team, and the power of more than one, and the power of doing that. And so we've talked about, I think we mentioned business coaching and team coaching and leadership coaching and executive coaching, and we've talked about assessments, and which is something, Lori, that you and I feel very, very strongly about, to the point where we even use an example where we would never want a physician who would prescribe something for us without assessing or diagnosing the problem. So we do assess so that we can diagnose, so that we can give the prescription or the actions, if you want to think of it very, very simply. So I think we need to explore assessments and why, the importance of assessments. And you started on it when you said, we want to optimize the components of everybody's strengths and everybody's personalities. Well, to optimize it, we have to first understand what is every personality and what are the strengths of that type of personality.
Yeah. And what are the leadership skills and competencies, and it goes on and on, because we can look at resilience and agility and logic and communication intelligence. We can look at personality, emotional intelligence. There's so many things to assess. And organizations, truly, when we think about you, if you're truly, your number one asset are your people. Mm-hmm. Because you can put all the systems you want into play, and if you don't have the right people in the right seats doing the right jobs for the right reasons
at the right time,
you most likely will experience challenges of some sort. There'll be lots of different situations at given times where you're going to have challenges because of your people. And understanding them best. And why not assess and invest in your talent and allow them that self-assessment, that self-discovery, that self-mastery. And in doing so, they share out the best of themselves. And they also are able to better understand each other, because they begin to understand what it means to their own ability to achieve, let alone collectively, now I can work better with you, Lynn, because I know you better.
Right.
And it just compounds itself in an organization, because you can do this in an organization of 2. You can do this in an organization of 40,000, 80,000. It takes a little bit more time, but you can absolutely
Yeah.
do
You can assess people and their strengths and their development areas, and we can get, through 360 assessments, we can get perspectives at levels above and beside and below and outside of our companies, even to truly understand others' perspectives. And also, as a senior a leader, maybe an executive, maybe a business owner, I might want to assess the culture of my company. I know what I think it is. I probably know what I think it is, but is it? How do I know? And what is the effectiveness of my organization? So my organizational effectiveness, believe in that can be very precisely measured, both of those, so that you have the correct data to understand what is my culture, how effective is it, what are the levers that are causing me to have success or failure in obtaining that constructive culture that every company desires, because it is the successful culture is a constructive one. And so a lot of companies think about measuring engagement, which is important, or they think about measuring satisfaction, which is just a tiny component, or they think about measuring the experience of the employee. And we're challenging people to think higher than that. Measure your culture definitively. Measure the effectiveness of your organization, your structures, your basic tenets of how your organizations run. And this is how you can, so that's the assessment piece with some rich diagnostics in there, so that the right plan, the right prescription, the right actions can be taken to get you where you really want to go.
And I love sharing with our clients, and we do this. It comes up. It's interesting how this comes up, and clients will go, "Wow, no, I don't know about that. I'm not too sure about that." And we always get to ask them, who answered your questions when you took the assessment? Who answered the questions? Oh, well, I did. Okay, so let's dive into this a little bit, and let's open this up a little bit. Are you in a place where you're willing to be open about this topic and kind of explore it? And if so, we get to dive into those questions and help that individual, those teams, and sometimes the whole organization as a whole dive in to look at what about this data that, by the way, is derived from their answers, and what about this data what does it really mean? And it's not that we're looking for the negative. What we are searching for is that point of shift, that point of realizing, and the aha moment, I call it, where they actually are dynamic in that shift, and they go, oh, okay, yes. And because of that and all of this, and it's not necessarily about the people anymore, it truly is about behaviors and the situations, and sometimes process and systems that often need to be enhanced or updated, etc. And the beauty of that is it brings people back together to get back on track and to begin to really work again.
And that shift is not always shifting from something negative to something positive. Right. Sometimes the shift is, let's find out what's working radically great in our company and let's do more of it. Well, how do you know? How do you know exactly what's happening? Or maybe it's just a tweak that's necessary. So we change how we do something. Or maybe we need to stop that altogether. That's not serving us or our company well. And we're going to substitute it with this better action, this better behavior. But that all starts with the assessment and knowing, because you want to be able to have a starting point so you can figure out the goals. This is with any kind of coaching, whether it's organizational coaching all the way through. Have an assessment, figure out where you want to go. What are the goals? What are the actions to take to get there? So that, Lori, of course, at the end, how do we measure it? How do we know we've achieved? How do we know if we still have further to go, or it's time to switch to the next goal? So the measurement piece of coaching and the outcomes of coaching Very, very important.
And it all starts too with an agreement. We don't move forward without coaching agreements. And that's not the contract, by the way, that we sign with the organization or the self-pay individual. It is in addition to, we actually write up and they are able to adjust it and edit it, etc. But we come together to create an impeccable agreement with our client. And that coaching agreement gets signed by both parties, the coach and the coachee. And that gives us a foundation of how we're going to work together. What does this mean? How might we resolve things? How might we communicate with one another, and when? So it dives into some of the details of that period of time that we're going to be coaching our client. And again, it can be at all levels. It could be at the organization level, the group level, or the individual level. And interestingly, even if we have a contract with the organization and we are coaching, say, a team of leaders, we do individual contracts with each one of coaching contracts with each one of those individual leaders. And it just sets a precedence. It sets a foundation, and it gives our clients, our coachees, a chance to ask those important questions about their experience that they're wanting and desiring. And by the way, expecting as well. So truly that customization is all the way through, and the flexibility as well. Coaching is not, like Lynn's been saying all along, it is not something that you can just take a boxed program and throw it out there on the table and think that that's going to be enough.
Yeah, absolutely not.
Doesn't work that way.
Lori and I are quite selective. We're selective. We have a limited amount of time and energy, and we want to fill it up completely with folks who really want the coaching. And so we're selective on who we choose to enter into our coaching programs. And you should be selective into who you select as your coach. So maybe we can talk about, how do I select a coach, or what are some of the questions I need to ask? And the first one, Lori, I'll go first, and maybe you can go second. We'll just bounce off each other. But the very first thing, if it were me and I were seeking a program as an organization or an individual, I'd be asking, what are your background and credentials? Coaching sometimes can be the wild, wild west. The International Coaching Federation is the gold standard across the world. Are you a member of ICF? Are you an ICF coach? Do you abide by the code of ethics of the ICF and the practices that are laid out? What kind of experience do you have? So many coaches today, they're coached by the fact that they label themselves coach, and that's it. What has your experience been? What kind of credentialing, what kind of education have you had around of coaching? So first thing I would do would be to explore that. I would not hire a physician who had not been to medical school.
Man, I've been asked too, why have you chosen this profession? What about coaching? What's brought you to coaching? What's brought you to your company? What's brought you to wanting to coach others? That has been a big question, and it's a lot of fun to answer, because with the opportunity to dialogue around that, not just give a response of an answer, to really truly dialogue around that question, it does open us up to learning more about our clients, because they're looking for something in particular. And as we dialogue, we can read body language. We can be able to see where the client truly holds interest and have a wonderful experience and have opportunity, because we can definitely bring tools to the table for that. I also would ask, what do you do a coaching agreement with your clients? Because not just a contract, but an agreement, a coaching agreement. And what tools do you use in your coaching? What are some of the tools? So that those accreditations, those certifications should also not just be in coaching. They should also be in the tools that are brought to the coaching experience. And I would also say that coaching should involve assessments and various tools, and you should have experience and certification accreditation in those tools as a coach. So those are great questions to ensure that you're getting somebody who's going to bring the best of the industry to your experience.
Absolutely. And Lori, I'd also be asking, because it's an individual thing, what typically happens in a coaching session? Some coaching programs that you may enter, Lori has talked about the fact that we do bespoke programming. We customize to our clients. There are basic tenets of coaching that we achieve every time. Many components, though, can be customized so that we have bespoke programming. I would be asking a question if I were hiring a coach. What does a typical coaching session look like? Have you ever worked with someone like me? How do you measure the success of the coaching? But what are the expectations? And again, Lori, those expectations that we define together are put into the coaching agreement that we talk about. Hey, we'll correspond with each other in at least 24 hours. Is your coach going to be available to you only for the hour that you have them, or do they have availability at other times? Lori and I have a policy where we're available in sections up to 15 minutes a day during the week to anyone that we're coaching, which we think is a terrific ad, and not many do, but we do offer that service. So we can help circumvent a situation if one of our clients is entering into something that they really need a little 15-minute coaching around to increase their success in that. And many take advantage of that component of our program. Does the coaching program you're looking at, or the coach that you're talking to, do they offer something like that? I'd be asking.
And also, what formats? So is it only virtual? Is it in person? Mm-hmm. Can we have a hybrid? So there's lots of different ways to be able to do that as well. And I want to add too, Lynn, that those intermittent type sessions are in addition to the coaching hour. And right. I also want to add that it's not just Lynn and we have a bench of coaches that we also optimize and that we hire in to work with our clients, and we seek to match our clients too. So as we select our clients, and if Lynn and I's availability is not there, we're going to match you, and then we're going to set up a meeting to ensure that match is in fact true. So it's not just a once and done, click and go kind of approach. It truly is helping you to ensure your success and having the ability to get off on the right foot. And I'm going to say this: a lot of people, the roles of coaching. So I want to add this: to be able to challenge our clients, to create with them, to challenge them, and this coaching piece as well. All three of those, I will say, behaviors and attributes, characteristics fall into coaching. So there are times when we are truly supporting our client in a creative process. There are times when we are challenging. And I love it because I come out front and I say, okay, I'd like to challenge you on something. And they go, whoa, like, oh, whoa, uh-oh, what's going on? And it just opens up the dialogue even further. And we also like to use the word vulnerability, because that means that you're open. You're in a state and a high energy of being open. And those types of things need to be understood up front before you even sign the contract, let alone the coaching agreement.
Absolutely. Are you open? Are you curious? Are you committed to learning? Are you committed to development of yourself and perhaps your team or your organization? Some of the outcomes that we see with folks that we've coached are, of course, better success. They're optimized. Sometimes they come because, again, they're seeking advancement or in their current role or a new role or whatever it may be.
Which,
So,
by the way, I'm going to jump in, is career coaching.
yeah, that's career coaching. Absolutely. So we that's another coaching that we offer. But we help our clients learn new ways to respond and better communication skills and a better understanding of communication intelligence and how to leverage your existing strengths. Sometimes some coaches are so focused on the development areas that we forget that people really need to understand their strengths and how to best use them. And by the way, how not to overuse them so that they're causing a weakness somewhere else, and how to build those cohesive and productive teams, and how to build their own stamina and resilience and agility, how to be accountable for their behaviors, how to shift the word that Lori's using, how to see yourself more clearly, how to see others more clearly so you can have better interactions. These are all outcomes that we see on a daily basis in our coaching programs. What kind of outcome are you looking for if we're talking about questions to ask? What outcome do you want?
And I truly believe, Lynn, it's about being more responsive, getting more curious, being able to ask better questions as a leader, asking questions and relevant questions, important questions that are timed at the right time with the right people. All of that really does matter. I know it can be anyway. And so that curiosity, that learning, being more accepting, I think, as well. These are outcomes. Mm-hmm. Learning to have acceptance, learning to be more responsive versus reactive. So, all of us have read The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Covey talked about how detrimental reactiveness can be and how to be more proactive. But let's take it even a step further into responsiveness. Mm-hmm. So proactiveness is one thing, but responsiveness takes you into the action, right. Not just to the action. And so I really think that these are outcomes that you don't normally think about when you think about coaching. You
right.
think and the leadership development plan, you think about core values. You normally think about certain things when you think about coaching at various levels, but it's even more personal and more deep. And I really, truly believe of all the feedback we've gotten, Lynn, to date, we've never had a negative review.
Mm-hmm. We really haven't. We work hard to keep it that way, because coaching, if it's done right, it's very thought provoking. It's a creative process. It's a collaborative process between your coach and you. And through the coaching, you gain clarity. You make certain decisions, maybe hard decisions. Mm-hmm. You achieve goals. You take responsibility for your actions. It's a reflective practice. We help you maximize your personal and your professional potential, which is what we want to do. Sometimes, Lori, and we'll just mention it and go past it, people really don't understand the difference between coaching and mentoring. Coaching is all of those things we've been talking about. And what mentoring is mentoring focuses on transferring skills from somebody who's more experienced to somebody who's less experienced. It's the transferal of skills. And coaching is helping you uncover what's within you already to bring it to the surface, and find your own answers a lot of times through some really skillful questioning. And so if you're looking for a mentor, that's not a coach.
No. And there's advisement as well.
There is.
And they're all very different.
They are. And make sure that your coach is coaching. And if you need a coach who also advise, make sure that you are clear in your contract, and that when it is advising, then it's a clear statement. Lori would say, I'm not your coach right now. I'm advising and entering into the advisement part of the contract. I do the same thing, and so do our coaches. So what is it you're looking for, and what is it that you're getting? But just as we are careful with our selection of who we choose to put into our coaching practice, you should be careful with your selection of what is it you want and how can it be achieved, and knowing some of the right questions to ask.
And we've spent almost 50 minutes talking about coaching, and you can tell Absolutely. You can tell just by how we're engaging in this conversation, and we're bouncing off of one another. We've got our notes to make sure we cover everything with you. You can tell that this is deep and wide. This is something, a serious commitment. It's not just something that you get thrown into or that you go through. You experience and you change, you evolve. You absolutely, without commitment, it will not work.
No.
With commitment, you will see great results over time. And again, 50 minutes of conversation around coaching. My biggest takeaway, Lynn, is if you want to get great results, you got to put great commitment into this.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got to ensure that that also comes from your coach or the organization that you hire, that you're bringing in for that as well. And I know we bring it to the table. We're all about maximizing excellence. We're self-accountable and we're very responsible when it comes to our coaching programs and our coaching efforts, because we feel our client success is our success.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely, Lori. I double down on everything you just said. Lori and I are committed, completely and utterly committed to success and excellence. And excellence in coaching is not the only thing that we offer, which, by the way, is to your benefit as well, because we have a wealth of understanding and a practice in not just a coaching as a whole, but many other aspects of talent management, which we can use and do use as we coach you. So yeah, those are, Lori, we could talk another hour.
I know we could. So I really quick, I have put in here, if you want to learn more about our coaching programs and services, please visit us on our website. I also want to mention that on August 7th, I'm very excited. We're going to have another podcast coming up on August 7th at noon Eastern Standard Time. And we've got our own client, Revolo Biotherapeutics. The CEO, Jonathan Rigby, will be joining us. We've also got in our lineup Michelle Holmes on the 14th of August, and she's going to be talking about an organization that truly is doing some amazing work with women leaders. And then on the 21st of August, we've got Charo Toledo, who owns a production company and an entertainment company, and she's doing things differently. You talk about innovation and creativity, but she's going to come in and talk about maximizing excellence in her industry as well. So I hope in the next month you join us. We've got podcasts now booked out for the rest of the year. I'm really excited about this. We're bringing some of the best in various industries across the world to the table to talk about maximizing excellence. Mm-hmm. So, Lynn, anything last remarks that you want to share with anybody?
I'd leave with one last parting comment. And I would say for each and every one of us, including myself, challenge yourself right now. What is the one thing you're going to do today to maximize excellence?
Thank you, everyone, and have a great day.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Maximize Excellence. Visit our events page on our website for details on upcoming podcasts, and visit our YouTube channel to listen to past episodes. And remember to ask yourself at the end of each day, did I do my best to maximize excellence today?